Wondering how to fall completely in love with the people and things that surround you at home? I've spent the last 15 years studying how and where families thrive and what relational and house characteristics ignite us with that homey feeling. On this podcast, we uncover how our brains process the people we live with and the houses we live in so we can confidently create our homes to be wonder-filled connection magnets. Ready to give up the decision fatigue, comparison hives, overwhelm ulcers, and confusion chaos? You are in the right place. I'm your host, Carly Thornock. Welcome to Becoming Home. Hey, homies. So glad that you're here. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Hi, you guys. This is Lisa. This is Lisa Haynie. She is one of my favorite clients of all time. I'm so excited to have her on the show today. So excited to have you know her. Lisa is one of the most caring, intuitive, soulful moms that I know. And when we started working together, I remember her visions of how she wanted to create her house to be a place of wonder and joy just blew my mind. Like, she's a visionary. She's so connected to herself and her family, and she's gushing love all the time. Everybody, Lisa Haynie. Welcome, Lisa.
So nice.
It's so true. So, Lisa,
you're so nice.
Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, kind of like where you live, your family, things you enjoy, just so we get a taste of your personality and who you are.
Oh, goodness. Okay. My name is Lisa, and no.
Hi.
We live in Virginia, and we live like an hour and a half west of DC in a rural area. We just live on 3 acres, and that's where we live, and it's fun. So I don't know, that's a little bit about that. And yeah, I have 3 kids and 1 on the way. And I love to be involved in my kids' school lives. So I'm like there all the time, helping with things and doing things. And I don't know, that's just a little bit about what I do, I guess.
Good at it.
Well, I'm not good at
underselling. Having worked with Lisa,
I am really good at underselling. That's one of my talents.
Lisa is really involved with her kids and with the community and creating beauty and bringing people together on a lot of different levels. Something that I love learning about Lisa that took a long time to learn about you, I feel like, was that you do undersell, and that you're so humble and so kind and compassionate, and that you're always thinking through how things that you do and the way that you present your home and the way that you choose your words will bring joy and love to the people around you. It's a beautiful thing about you that I really love.
That's important. I love that. You said it much better. Good job.
And it took together we worked with you and your husband, Talon, and we would get on our calls and you would say something. And one of my favorite things that would happen would be like, Talon would be like, you aren't that way. Like, you would be like, I don't know, I just think it's boring. And Talon's like, whatever. And he'd tell you all these funny, fun, amazing things about it. Will you tell everybody how you kind of came to encounter the intentional house world and what drew you to becoming a client even in the first place?
Yeah, I think I found you on Ralphie's parenting Instagram. I think that's where I heard about you. Maybe listened to something that you guys talked about, and just your philosophies on home and kids and family. That must have been what got me to even consider clicking or looking into anything that you were doing, because it's easy to buy stuff for your kids or buy stuff for this or that, but it's a lot harder to say, oh, I'd like to invest in something that's important to me and invest in things I want to do, even though it is for the kids. But I don't know. I think I am surprised that I even contacted you, because it's a big deal to reach out to somebody. But I think it was just because you were that you resonated, what you were saying resonated with me so much. I was like, I have to do something. I at least have to go look and ask.
I'm so glad that you did. You mentioned,
I'm so glad I
did too. You mentioned before we were kind of talking, you were saying do something like this, hiring a professional in this kind of way felt fancy at first. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. we're just normal people and we are just normal. We're a normal family. You know, we just do normal things and we're not like gonna have virtuoso kids or like star athletes. Like we're just normal and we just like to be that way. But I don't know. It's just like when I think about an interior designer, I think fancy. I think, oh, everything is matching. The curtains are coordinating with the couch and the pillows and the carpet and the linens and don't touch anything. And and I think, yeah, it just sounds expensive. It sounds like you're turning over your home and then you're going to get the spread of a magazine back, you know, something that looks picture perfect, but there's nothing of you in it.
Yeah.
Because it might look beautiful and there's lots of matching colors, but it's not a lived in space. And I don't know. I've also never known anyone to work with an interior designer before. And so I think I just thought maybe I didn't fit into that world. Like, how dare you think you can hire an interior designer?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what you see on like online and in the magazines and stuff. It's really a spread taken by a professional photographer where everything is just so meticulously placed. And those of us with kids were like, that's not going to work. That's
right. Right.
So
and I think you just have so much love too in what you're doing, and you're about people in their homes, not just the home. And I don't know. I'm really glad I clicked. I'm really glad we called and we had our like interview session or something like that, where it was like, I get to know you to see if this is something that like a learn more. So.
Yes. And so what was the experience like? Was it like that? Do you feel like your house got turned over to a non-invested third party and you came back to the big reveal like on HGTV? Like what was it? Tell everyone what it was like.
Oh my gosh. I really loved it because we, in a good way, we could not escape the process, right? We weren't allowed to turn it over to you and be like, okay, go. It was like, no. This is, we had learning to do. So, and Talon and I, my husband and I, we loved it because we got to we took the classes with you, right? We would read information, study these modules, take notes, have amazing conversations together. It was like date night every time we were preparing for our meetings. Because we would get to talk about all the things and we would learn and it was really fun. And it's like, and you're kind of like playing house, but you're already in your house. So it's like, you know what you're working with. I don't know. And then, so we loved the learning part of it. And then we got to meet with you once a week. Is that what we did?
We did.
It was always the best day though, because it was like, yes, we get to see Carly today. And then we would sit with you and we would go over what we learned and we would talk about it. And then, so then we really became part of the process. So you were like teaching us how to, I mean, I'm willing to bet like on those shows when people have a room redone, that it literally just goes back to chaos after the person leaves. But this was like, here's all these tools. Here's some psychology behind it. Here's all these emotional connections and reasons why you react this way and that way. And it just really got us to think about not just how our home looked, but how we felt in our home and what we were doing in our home. And then it just became like a lifestyle, I guess. So it was like interior design lifestyle. I don't know.
Yes, that's totally it though. Because you can't just live in somebody else's house that you don't touch. And you're going to need to make changes too. Do you feel empowered? I'm hopeful. Like I'm crossing my fingers here. Like, do you feel empowered?
Oh, yeah.
All of our work together to keep the changes and the momentum going.
Yeah. So Tal and I talked about that. We were talking about all the things we learned and the process that we went through, which was so fun. And then how are we now? And so we were talking about how we're more confident to make choices, but like more than that, we're more confident to even try. Because like I think before we weren't even okay to try because we're like, oh, I don't know, we don't know anything. Don't hang any pictures. Don't do it. And you'll regret like just the littlest things that you refuse to do because you think it's like as simple as hanging a picture, but you won't do it, or you won't reorganize something, or you won't whatever it is. But just having the knowledge from the class, I think, and working with you and having such a positive experience, it's actually exciting to be like, oh, we could tackle a kid's room now. Yeah, I think do it, find something you like, hang it up and live with it. And if you want to change your mind, you guess what? You get to change your mind. And totally normal.
Totally normal. That's
Totally
so
normal.
good. That's
Yeah.
so good.
I don't know. Because when you don't even try, you're just like living with it in a certain way that doesn't work for you. So you might as well try something and then see if it works for you or doesn't work for you. But you're not worse off than where you were.
It's like right now you're already at the bottom of the barrel, right? If it's not working for you, the worst that could happen is
Right.
it doesn't work for you.
Yes, that's it.
So then there's only really a risk
Yeah.
of gain. It's true. And maybe a small hole that you'll have to fill in your wall.
Yeah.
So Lisa, what's the
Right.
favorite takeaway that you had from the things that you learned? Maybe two takeaways, like something that you learned and then something that we did with your house that you love.
Okay, I could hear you say a takeaway, and what was the second thing?
Maybe let's do two takeaways of what you learned, like something, a fun concept that you
Oh.
learned that you have really stuck with, and then something that we've done with your house that you really liked as well.
It's going to be hard to narrow down, so I'm going to go that one last. Okay.
I love you.
Okay. One of the takeaways that I say we because Talon and I did this so much together. So which was really fun. Deciding what you want to put in your home to like afford the things that you want to do, and thinking about what you want those invitations to be, and then just doing it. And it's okay if in your living room you want the invitations to be book reading, but maybe in someone else's living room the invitation is game night. So whatever it is and whatever you like and whatever you want, put it in there because it's your room and your space, and it doesn't have to be defined by anyone else's definitions. So I like thinking about I don't know, I guess it just helped us focus on what we wanted our family life to be. And then we made those choices. And then we put those things in the room so that the invitations were there and we could spend time together the way we wanted to. So that's one takeaway. And doesn't that just feel good? Because you're like, yay, we're living the way we want to live. Like,
what do you think?
Like, I can't imagine having a living room that we couldn't go in. Like, yeah. If the living room just looked perfect and everyone had to stay out of it, it wouldn't be worth it. But having the invitations and kids is like most important to me, them feeling comfortable in a space. I don't know, it just makes it so worth it. So I think kind of something I already talked about of being like putting things in your space to remind you of things you're working on, who you want to be, maybe being proud of something you did, but just little nods, I guess, to yourself so you feel connected to your space and connected to who you are. Oh, that was a takeaway. I forgot about that one. I gotta share another one really quick.
Okay, do it.
Okay. I really loved one of the connection points we talked about. We learned about connecting to others, connecting to self, and connecting to God. And when you talked about connecting to like God or something, it was really you're connecting to yourself. So the more you learn about yourself and the more you feel safe and happy and content and fulfilled with yourself, you're just growing closer to like living your best life and I don't know, living a more fulfilling life. Does that make sense?
So makes sense. That's really beautifully put. What do you think was?
So that was probably one of my favorite takeaways.
Oh, I'm so glad. What were you thinking before?
Yeah.
Like, what was the transition? What was the before thought? And that one was the change of mind thought.
I don't know. I think when we had talked and gone through some of the classes, it was sort of like, I think you had said, "Oh, Lisa, you didn't put any of yourself in this room. That's why you don't like to go in there." Or why you don't spend time in there. And so remembering that, you can give and give and give and do and do and do for other people. Like, who am I? Am I represented here? Is there something for me here? Do I feel connected to this space? And like, don't let yourself be forgotten in a space. Cause like, we are the space. Like, I'm I don't know. It's like I can't forget about myself. And so maybe that was part of it too. Like remembering to put things in rooms that were inviting to me. And even if it's like a tiny little gnome in a potted plant, but when I see it, I'm like, that's so whimsy and cute. And it makes me so happy. But just like having those little things to remember the kind of person that I want to be or who I am. And then feeling, I don't know, I guess you just feel more connected. And
Amen. Glory, hallelujah,
yeah,
hallelujah. I
yeah.
remember in your family room, we had this conversation. Correct me if I'm remembering wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but it took us a while. And it was when I was in your house with you, when we were thinking about your family room, and we wanted Lisa, like we wanted a big tribute to Lisa in this room. And you came up with the moon, right? And
You
so,
did.
what does the moon mean to you? And tell everybody what we did with the moon, because this is one of my favorite parts about your house.
Me too. I love that thing. So we were just like, it's got to be the moon. I don't even know. I love space. I love space. I love stars. I love the moon. And I just love it because it's big and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's inspiring and it's magical and it's unknown. I don't know. And it's just like wonder, I guess. I just love wonder and I love like the possibility and I just love the magic of all of that. So, I guess, yeah, we were like, it's got to be the moon. And we printed out this huge 2 foot by 3 foot, beautiful full moon poster. And it's beautiful and I love it. And it sits on my mantle and I love it.
I
Um,
love that too.
and I don't know. And it just reminds, I guess it just, in one thing, space or the moon, it just, for me, embodies so many different like attributes and values and things that I want, how I want to live and what I want to inspire in other people, I guess.
So beautiful. For a while, we thought about putting like a family portrait up there or something more like
Yeah.
a mirror, like typical or whatever. But what we found was
Yeah.
that wasn't the invitation that you needed. Like the family is home all the time and they're in that room a lot in person, and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to create an anchor for you to remember as the matriarch, as this leader in your family, of who you wanted to be and how you wanted to show up for yourself and for the family. And I think we have a family picture in there. We have a whole gallery wall of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Your house. But is that kind of true? Is that what it reminds you to do? Is that how you feel in this room?
Yes. Yeah. Now when I go in there, it's like little nods. And I think, they say like if you don't pour into yourself, you can't pour into others. So I think if I was before like erasing myself from the rooms, then there was nothing to give because I wasn't even there, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like there's little pieces of me in there, so it feels more like me. So I feel like then I can pour into other people because I feel seen there too.
Yes. Something else I really love that we did with your home was in your room where you're sitting right now, kind of a play reading
Mm-hmm.
area. You had this idea to make it into a woodland fairy tale kind of area. And I love that this was your idea and your inspiration. It wasn't a third party, non involved designer coming in and being like, great, whimsical princesses, let's do princesses. It was like, what feels organic and interesting to you as the mother of your family, as like the DNA donator to your children and the matriarch and leader of them. Like, it's so important that mothers see that their inspiration and like, I want to call it like grenading their whole house with what's inspiring to them is what's going to resonate with their kids, because their kids love them. Yeah. Like your kids love you. They love reading books with you. They care about the things that you care about. They could care less about what some designer thinks, but because you came up with this concept and all of these fun stories and all these little, like your shelves are just full of beautiful nods to this theme and a whole overarching idea of how you want to live with your family. Because it's you, it feels so sacred to me. Does that feeling, does it still last? I mean, we worked together a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. Like how has this been lived in? How has your space evolved and how has it lasted?
So I did talk to Talon about this, and we were talking about how has it gone a year out, and he was like, it's still all there. Like everything we did is still here, which is like it means we put systems in place that worked for us, right? I feel like I think maybe I most reflect on it when someone else comes over, because when people come into this space, they're always like, even if the toy room is a complete disaster and toys are everywhere, people walk in and they're like, oh, this is such a happy place. Like this is so beautiful. This feels so nice. There are comments about how it looks, like it's beautiful, blah blah blah, but a lot of the comments are, it feels so good in here. Wow, look at all these kid focused, kid friendly, this is a place for them. So I think everyone reflects on that. So then I'm reminded to reflect on it too, because sometimes you just kind of get busy and you don't think about it. So I think when people come over, I'm reminded of it. I'm reminded of it myself when I like come in to help tidy up, and we're together and we're like, oh, let's do our little cleanup time. And then everyone's helping. And I'm just always thankful because it doesn't feel like a chore, because it's such a place that's ours. It just feels nice to kind of reset everything and put everything back. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but it just feels like a good place.
What do you think
So
that feeling is? What's the formula for that feeling? What is that?
not getting hung up on the most stressful part of the house cycle, which is like the messy part. When it's in a mess or a chaos mode, reframing your thinking and your brain to say like, that's not bad. That's life, and that is love, and that is the work of a child, which is play, and it's all happening and it's all good and it's wonderful. I don't like ending that. So I think it's like me having reframed my thinking about that phase, and not thinking, I think I used to think if it was messy, I was bad, right? Like, oh, I didn't teach my kids good cleanup habits, or oh, I should be cleaning up for them every day, but like that's just not something that I worry about. It's like when it needs to get cleaned up, we clean it up. But until then, we are just fine. And I don't know. So I guess it's reframing the brain and the thinking about that. And then just like walking into a room and seeing a mess, but being like, wow, look at this game you made.
And I also think, I suspect that your guests come into this room and they feel you in it. And so they feel something instead of judge something. I think judging is what
Yeah.
people do in absence of creativity. And so because you've been so creative with your space and you've poured so much of your soul and your imagination into it, they get sucked into that invitation of like, wow, there's so much here to see and to partake of, instead of like same old, except she doesn't dust. I think that like it gives people the invitation to grow bigger in their brains. Not that we can control how people see our spaces or even how our children will see our spaces, but when we're in a place of creativity and fun and love, which you have such an abundance of, and I think that everybody really does if they're willing to tap into it, we get to invite people into that realm with us. What would you say to that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. And I think something you reminded me of is a feeling I hope people feel when they're with me, whether it's at my home or just around me anywhere, is to feel welcomed and like safe, happy. And like, I think that feeling of welcoming people is always really important to me, which is kind of like the role I play it, like when I'm out in the community or at my kids' school, I'm welcoming and making sure people feel loved, connected, needed, wanted. And I think that's the feeling here, is you're welcome, and you're welcome to play with whatever, and you're welcome to do whatever, and if you have an idea, great, let's make it happen. So I think that feeling is important to me. So that's maybe something that we've worked on having here.
So good. Okay, one last burning question. A lot of people come to me and they're like, I have an idea of how things should look, and my husband has very opinionated ideas of how things should look too and be. And you guys did this process as such a team, and we worked through a lot of things together as a team, but I feel like you guys were good at it and you honed this skill. What would you say to somebody who's worried about compromising with their spouse?
I don't know. That's so tricky, because like thankfully we have similar taste and style, and the things that we might not have the same weighted importance, the other one doesn't care what the other one chooses. I remember my favorite is the chairs in the living room. How, for me, I'm looking at all visual. I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's cute. And he's like, I have got to try these chairs. I need to sit in it. I need to know what it feels like. And so it was like, okay. So he went off to the huge mall to go to all the stores and try out all the chairs. He took notes and pictures. And it was like, and that's great. And I'm like, but we're not getting a lazy boy. And so, but he found a beautiful chair that was form and function, and it was everything. It was like, I don't know. So I love that because I didn't care about sitting in the chair because I knew I was going to sit on the couch. But he was going to sit in the chair, and he did his homework. I know that's not what you're asking. I just think it's funny.
That's totally what I'm asking. I think that the takeaway here is like you just keep going until you find something you both like. You're kind of committed to the win-win.
Yeah.
And you were like, it has to look good.
Yeah.
And like, it has to be comfy. I remember that session so well when he got on and he was like, I tried out 7 chairs. Everything from Pottery Barn was the worst. Everything from this place was the worst. These are the 3 that I like.
Yes.
These are the 2 that Lisa thinks are okay. What do you think? It was so awesome.
Yes. Oh, it's the Carly chair. Remember we named it.
The Carly chair. That's right. We named it the Carly.
How can I forget?
I forgot about that too. Does he still sit in his chair?
Oh, yeah. And Finn, our oldest, he loves that chair. He is always in it. So it's great. It's fantastic. Honestly, I think the learning part really helps with that connection piece, because then I don't think any husband wants to go to the store and look at stuff. That's like a fate worse than death. Like Talon still doesn't love that, right? Like he doesn't want to go to the store and look at rugs. Like if I'm rug shopping, I need to narrow it down to 5 choices online, and then he'll come and help input whatever. But I think the learning piece with you, that is what like made it all real and made it really intentional. And I think the classes, learning everything, becoming an active member of the design team, you and the spouse, I mean, that's what I think brought it home too for us together, having the conversations, diving deep, looking at everything from like childhood experiences to like what you want your future to be. I mean, we looked at so many things and had so many deep conversations. It just made it fun. It made it personal. And then of course he wanted to be part of the process,
That's so true. When you feel invested, sitting on chairs isn't as painful because there's a purpose and there's a vision.
Yes.
That's so great.
And I have to tell you, like a nod to you. I mean, it was seriously like date night, except we did it in the afternoon. So it was date afternoon every time we got to sit with you. It was something we truly looked forward to because you have this like amazing light and sunshine, and you just brought it right into our home. And it was the best.
Oh, Lisa.
We could have honestly stayed in the design phase forever, as long as it meant that you would come see us every once in a while to do an install, because that was also very fun.
That was so much fun. That was so great. Oh, yes. You guys are a really powerful couple. And we say like power couple, like it means something like a power suit. I don't know. But with you and Talon, your creation is so synergistic. You guys put a lot of time into understanding one another and uniting your force so that you get really cool things done. It was a pleasure to work with you. Thank you so much for being willing to come and talk to me on the show and to share your experiences with others who might be seeking the same things. You're the best.
It was seriously so fun. Thank you.
All right, everybody, listen up. If you're thinking about doing something drastic or not even so drastic with your house, it's going to look like a mess. And be willing to make the mess because it's worth it on the other side. Right, Lisa?
Absolutely. I don't know if people want to, if people ever want to talk to me and ask about my experience, like I am 100% willing to have any phone conversations and whatever. I will tell you everything. All of the good.
Thanks, so Lisa. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you next week. Hey, thanks for listening today. If you love what you're hearing, share this episode with a friend who you want to chat with about it. Also, leave a review for the show so we can reach more soulful mamas looking to love the magical humanity that surrounds them at home. If you really are digging this scene, come check out The Knowing, the inner circle for confident home creating. Find all the info about it as well as a full transcript of this episode over at carlythornock.com.